Anyone else? Rohit have said that it is structural and functional unit of life. Okay. Can anyone explain what is structural here? What does the structural mean?
Structure.
Sir, it is the basic unit of life, sir. It's a basic unit.
Fundamental.
Okay.
Sorry, the
It is
one
for
which shapes us. The one which shapes us.
okay, the one which shapes us. Very good, Karthik. So the structural here means that the cell is used to provide structure, the structure to anything. Like you
Fundamental.
know,
Sir, sir,
yes.
I wrote in my exam that when they told why is cell a structural and functional unit of life,
Mhm.
I told that cell is the function. Cell is like a tiny building block that
Correct.
focuses on how all the other parts of it works, and it is needed to keep life going on.
Okay, you can say that. Very good. So, like Rohit told about that, it needs to for the life to going on. First, if we say that it is a structural, structure means that it forms structures. You of all living organism. Okay, so structural means that it forms structure of all living organism. That means if we are as a human, we are also made up of cells. As a animals we see around, those are also made up of cells. The mosquito which is roaming around you, that is also made up of cell. So every living organism is made up of cell. Can we say that plants are also made up of cells?
Yes, sir.
Yes, plants are also made up of cells. Okay, plants also have cells. Fine. So about functional, why we say as it as a functional unit of life?
Sir, we
Anyone?
say that because it makes sure that all the other cells' functions are followed by them.
Okay, so it
So
is a
like some parts of the cell make their own food. They
very
and they reproduce on their own.
very good, very good.
Sir, and also
Okay,
they
so
carry out many functions.
many functions. Yes, like Rohit and Ashwat said, that it is a site of many biological processes, biochemical, sorry,
Biological processes.
biochemical processes. Why I'm
Like
saying
respiration.
biochemical? Because the chemical process, the chemical change is there present in the function of cell. Like in the we can say that the formation of proteins, formation of
Sir, even
lipids.
respiration using oxygen produce energy.
Yes, yes, we take respiration also. Okay, okay. So these are all the function of cell. Cell, there many functions take place. The protein formation, the digestion of any food which is we intake. Okay, the digestion, the reproduction. Okay, the formation of lipids, the lipids we say, the combination of liquid and the all those materials, the respiration through which we get energy. So these are all the functions of cell. These functions take place within the cell. So if we know that much about cell, can you see cell with the help of the naked eye?
No, sir, we
Yes.
cannot.
No, because cells are very small. The size of cell is very small. Then if you wonder that how, if we cannot see cell, then how someone was able to discover it? Okay, so it was first discovered by Robert Hooke. Okay, so Robert Hooke discovered cell. He did experiment on cork tissue or cork cell using simple microscope. So it was first by Robert Hooke that we came to know that there exists some cell which is a structural and functional unit of life. Everything which is present there living is made up of cell. Okay, so cell, different kinds of cell, which I will show you that what are those different kinds. So Robert Hooke was the first person who s- did experiment on cork cell. Okay, cork cell, it is a like the outer, if you take plant or a tree, you must have seen that the these the what I say, uh, mm, the outer layering of this tree has some small the covering which are coming out. Okay,
Bark.
uh,
Bark.
what
Tree bark.
T bar? Yes, correct. T bar.
No, bark's a bark. Tree bark.
Yes, I'm saying the same,
Yeah,
but
BARK, bark.
B R K.
BARK.
Yes, I was writing the same. So the outer the bark that we see in like outer layering of the tree. So these the Robert Hooke took this bark of a specific tree, which we say a cork. Okay, that the bark we say the cork cell. So he took that part and he used a simple microscope to study that area, and he found out that the this bark is made up of, this bark has a structure as that of honeycomb like structure, that it resembles the structure of honeycomb. Do you know the structure of honeycomb?
Hexagonal shape. Is it so?
Yes, correct. A hexagonal shape which are attached to it. Long.
Sir, can you zoom out once?
Yes. Will. Okay, so this is honeycomb structure. So if you encounter any like the colony of honey at the bees, you will find out that if you look it closely, you will find out that it is made up of the combination of these kind of structure, the hexagonal structure. Okay, it is like this hexagonal structure. So there are many hexagonal structures which are attached to one another. So this is honeycomb structure. So similarly, when Robert Hooke studied this, the part of this cork cell, he found out that the structure which he saw resembled the structure of honeycomb. Okay, that it is made up of the combination of many small parts, and he named these small parts, okay, the small compartment, he named this small compartment as cell. Okay, so when he studied this tree tissue, then he encountered that it is a combination of many small compartments, and he named these compartments as cell. Okay, that the single compartment is a cell. Fine. Any doubt?
No doubt, sir. Sir, can you zoom out this? Can you show the functional part?
Okay, so he named these compartments as cell, which in the Latin, okay, cell in Latin mean cell in little room. Okay, so cell in Latin means little room. So he named the small compartment as cell. So after he did experiment with the help of simple microscope. Do you know about simple microscope and compound microscope?
No, no, sir.
We will see about three things: simple microscope, compound microscope, and telescope. You must be knowing about telescope, right?
Yes, sir.
What is the function of telescope?
It helps us to uh, magnify objects
Okay,
so that we can see far off objects. They appear closer to us.
okay, fine. So we can say that it is a telescope is used to see the distant object clearly. Okay, with enough size that we are able to distinguish it. It is used to see distant objects. Okay, whereas microscopes, these are used to see the small object. It is used to magnify those small objects. Okay, the function of microscope is used the function of microscope is to make the small things bigger. Okay, whereas in telescope you can say the opposite, like the objects which are far very far those are bigger objects, but we are able to focus those objects and we are able to see those objects clearly. Whereas in simple microscope, like the let me show you the structure of simple microscope. Okay, in NCRT only we will find out.
Sir, it's
Okay,
compound microscope is used for even very small cells like viruses, right, sir?
correct. So this is a structure of compound microscope. Okay, similarly you can see the structure of simple microscope. Okay, simple microscope looks like this. Okay, so here it is saying that the specimen stage, this small area. So basically in microscope we magnify very tiny small things, we magnify it and we see that what is there at microscopic level, that what is there at microscopic level. What is microscopic level? Do you know about this unit, micrometer?
Sir, 10 to the power minus
Mhm.
minus what, sir?
So it is 10 to the power minus 6 meter.
Okay, minus 6.
Micrometer means 10 to the power minus 6 meter. So we are able to see the objects which are this much smaller. Okay, the objects which are 10 to the power minus 6 meter smaller. These tiny objects. So in order to magnify these tiny objects and see it clearly, we use microscope. These are at microscopic level. And the difference between simple microscope and compound microscope is that in simple microscope we use single lens. Do you know the functioning of a lens, like a convex lens?
Sir, it is used to
Yes,
magnet.
it is a converging. It's a converging lens.
Correct. Okay. It is a converging lens. If I say that like in mm, okay, if I take example of our human beings, that if someone has a weak power, a weak lens, eye lens, okay, if someone is using glasses, like if I use glasses, so what does that mean? I am using two lenses, right? Isn't it?
Sir, yes, sir.
So if I'm using two lenses, so that means I am magnifying or more, isn't it? Can I conclude that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, that if it is there is a single lens and these things are coming like this. Okay, let me take a different color. Okay, if it is magnifying like this, but if now I use two lenses, so then these lenses will magnify it more. Okay, so earlier if the image was forming here, earlier if the image which was coming in parallel rays was forming here, now it is forming here. So that means two lenses are used to magnify that thing more. It is used to increase magnification. Similar is the work of simple microscope and compound microscope. Simple microscope contain single lens, where compound microscope contain two
This is
lenses.
3 to 4 lens.
Yes, in general we can say two lenses, or you can say more than two lenses also, because there are bigger compound microscope also. Like the biggest compound microscope we have.
Sir, it uses like 3 lens, right, sir? Yes, 3.
How much is the size of this? The biggest compound. Okay, so this one is only the biggest one. Okay, so yes, we can say that the generally the compound microscopes are those microscopes which use two lens. But if some microscope is using more than two lens, then also we can say that as compound microscope, because compound microscope itself mean that it is using more than one lens. Okay, more than one lens. But the most generally, if you encounter any compound microscope, that will be of only two lenses. Okay, the three lens compound microscope are very rare. Fine. So the difference between these are that simple microscope is of single lens, whereas compound microscope is of more than one lens, the two lenses. So if the one lens is able to magnifying an object of 10 to the power minus 6 meter, if we are using compound microscope, it is able to magnify the objects which are more smaller than 10 to the power minus 6. Okay, 10 to the power minus 7 or 10 to the power minus 8 meter. Okay, so the compound microscope is used to magnify very smaller objects which the simple microscope won't be able to. So this is the basic difference between simple microscope and compound microscope, that the compound microscope is the advanced version. It is the advanced version of simple microscope. So earlier the Robert Hooke did this experiment using simple microscope, so he was able to like find this Koch cell, that there exists some cell. Then later came who? The AV Gibbon Hooke. Then came AV Leeuwenhoek. So he used some improved microscope, and he did experiment on a sample of lake water. Okay, so he did this experiment on the sample of lake water, and what he found that there exists some kind of organism which are protozoa or amoeba, like this. So Robert Hooke was the first person who discovered cell, who did experiment on non-living cell, or we can say dead cell. Okay, the bark which he used of the tree. So the outer layering, the bark which is coming out of the tree, it is dead cell. So Robert Hooke did experiment on the dead cells, whereas the Leeuwenhoek, he took sample of lake water, and he was the first person who did experiment on living cells. Okay, did you got the difference? That the Robert Hooke discovered cell, he did experiment on non-living cells, whereas the Leeuwenhoek did experiment on living cells. So he did experiment after Robert Hooke. Okay, but he is the first person who did experiment on living cells. He also confirmed this theory that the structure, this the sample is made up of small tiny cells. Okay, so you may be wondering, like, what are the types of cell? Okay, you must be wondering that.
Prokaryotic and eukaryotic. Prokaryotic and eukaryotic.
Yes, correct. What are type of cells? Anyone has any doubt until now? Any doubt? Any of you?
So
Okay, who is Jatin? Hi Jatin, are you new student? Jatin?